Hello there, welcome to CNR Extra here on Citi TV, coming to you live from our studios at number 5, Wola Hansen Lane, Tesano, Accra. My name is Philip Ni Latte. Coming up. Member of Parliament for Ebuakwa North warns security officers that unlawfully brutalized civilians to be arrested and punished to serve as a deterrent to others.
We can celebrate this kind of with a greater paradise in this democratic dispensation we have. And we are craving the indulgence of those who are supposed to investigate these matters. They should go about and make an example out of some of these situations. That when a soldier or a policeman is imprisoned,
Fire guards parts of the new KJTR market in Kumasi, the Ashanti region. And also, Deputy Majority Leader Alexander Apenyo-Makin proposes constitutional reforms to replace or to place a limit on the number of seats in Parliament.
It is my respectful view that to reduce the financial stress associated with running government, we must reduce the number of seats in our Parliament from 275 to 200, and then make room for 31 members of Council of State turn into.
And later on CNR Extra, Accra High Court dismisses suit by ACE investigative journalist Anas Arimayao Anas against Kennedy Japan, the Member of Parliament of Asin Central in the Central region.
The victory is for the victims of Anas, the people, the good people of this country that Anas has destroyed. All those people who were sacked from their jobs, the people who have died through Anas' illegal investigation should be compensated. Compensation is not enough. He has to apologize to his victims.
CNR Extra is live on Citi TV and it's conversational. We bring you the updates of most of the stories here. You can join us with your thoughts, submissions, and comments via WhatsApp line 0204 447033 as well. You can join us on YouTube as we stream live there on CityTube. Neil Latte, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you, Philip. Good to be here again.
Exactly. Let's go straight to the first story. And scores of traders at the new KJTR market are counting their losses after fire gutted part of the facility last night.
Now, scores of traders at the new KJTR market are counting their losses after fire gutted parts of the facility on Wednesday evening. Now, fire officers struggled for hours to bring the situation under control. The leadership of the traders, however, says it is extremely disturbed as it has information that the insurance for the facility has not been renewed. Middle Belt Bureau Chief Edward Opomafo reports some access routes to the market have been taken over by trading sheds.
Traders here at the Kumasi City Market, popularly known as the new KJTR Market, are counting their losses. That's because of a fire outbreak that happened around 4 p.m. on Wednesday evening. When it stands that the first floor and the second floor are the parts that have been really affected. And in fact, fire officers, officers from the National Disaster Management Organization, and some police officers are around here putting their resources together to bring the situation under control. We're here to find out from the eyewitnesses on what really happened.
Started here, right on this floor. I was in my shop when people started calling me, there's fire, there's fire, there's fire. Mr. Corey, there's fire, there's fire. Because they know I'm a leader here. So they first called at my shop. So I just came out. Truly, I saw that the fire was coming from the shop. It was coming from shop number 2. So I immediately called the MD of the facility, that Mr. Kofi Show. He also called the fire servicemen. So immediately, we tried to use the hose here to quench the fire, but we couldn't because there wasn't any water. Unless, until the firemen arrived here, they opened the fire, they opened the tenders, so we were able to use the water to start quenching the fire. That's how it started.
And so what are some of the items that have been destroyed?
Well, according to reports I got, the woman was selling solutions and Parazone. As for the goods, people have lost so many goods here. I can't quantify the amount because about over 120 shops have been affected. So we can't quantify.
What are the items that they were selling in these shops?
People were selling, we have plastic there. We have toys. There are so many hardwares, padlocks and so many others. And people were selling so many items. Their money, even there were shoes and other items being sold there. So many items is being sold over there. So we have lost about, I can't quantify now, unless we check everything.
Timi wo no mo frɛ sɛ eja to shop ba ko mu ye nyina ye so mrika mu bai ye bai no na o mo kyerɛ sɛ nipa ne ton car bad na sɛ no wo kyitiro sɛ no wo ye de onija no eto mu enti na instead sɛ nka bia ye beru ahye na ye dum hɔ no mo de no on sɛ bi ba bia na ma bebre wo no bibi sa ba ye ti ani ba ye ho so no na saa ne ma ne nti no solution ene tina ne saa ne ma no on say bi o ha petrol wo mu ene saa nti na afadwa no on say kejeti adwa no ya ntimi anya no commodity different items ene ya mix up so eti eba ye entomafo bi wo mu a wo mo ne ma ahye materials fo wo mu t-shirts ene saa ne ma no efrafra ne ma bebrebe ene o mo ho aka hardwares ene saa ne ma ni nyina no eka ho na o mo ho aka etini ye fa saa kwan yi so na o mo ho aka no ya mo hyeden.
The leadership of the Federation of the Kumasi Traders is worried about this situation, but they are asking one question: if indeed the insurance has been paid.
We had a call. We had to rush there. It was in a particular shop. One of our traders, a woman, the shop. It was in the shop that the market started. But unfortunately for us, the men around tried to use the water hose around to quench the fire. But unfortunately for us, there was no flow of water in the water hose.
So what really happened and how did they escalate?
Well, within the area that the fire started, they sell products like cardboard, combustible things. So because it started within that shop, they sell glues, selection, cardboard, and the likes. So it turned out that it was uncontrollable for us. We called the internal fire service men. They came, they called for reinforcement, but that has speak to you right now. Though the fire has subsided, but they have not been able to put off the fire.
So now what are you doing as traders, those who have been affected? You are their leader. What's the way forward?
Well, as we know, in the heat of this event, we cannot say this is what we intend doing. So for now, we don't know the number of shops, but in our estimation, it's more than 120 shops. But as to the cost of the wares that have been destroyed, we cannot quantify it right now. But we know that on our part, as part of the service charges that we pay, there is a component of insurance. They tell us that they've insured the facility of which they levy the traders. So we are still in the heat of it. We are waiting that maybe by tomorrow morning, we will come with the management and the fire service personnel. We will do inventory of the goods that have been destroyed. Then on, we will know what to do next. But as we speak right now, a lot of shops, a lot of traders have lost huge sums of money.
But with the issue of insurance, do you know for a fact that the insurance has been settled for you?
It is a bigger issue. It is a bigger issue. As I speak to you right now, I cannot confirm nor deny whether that the insurance have been renewed. But we know for sure that as at November 10, 2021 till the end of February, we knew that insurance had not been renewed. We knew that, but in between the end of February to date, we don't know for sure whether they've, but we know on, we didn't want to speculate, but we doubt whether that insurance component have been renewed. But one unfortunate thing is we tried using the fire hose where we could have used the immediate water from there. There was no flow of water. Initially, there was no flow of water. So that even aggravated the fire to extend to other shops.
It's almost 8 p.m. and fire officers have not fully brought the situation under control. They're also not able to tell the extent of damage. For the management of this facility, they have declined speaking to us, but what we understand is that this facility will be closed down on Thursday up to around 12 p.m., where after some assessment, they will decide the next line of action. For Citi News, I'm Edward upon Marfo, New KJTR Market.
Items worth millions of cedis have been destroyed, belonging to traders. Some traders at the New KJTR Market. Let's bring you updates on this story, and let's cross over to my colleague or our correspondent, that is the Middle Belt Chief Bureau, or the Bureau Chief for the Middle Belt, Edward Oponmafo, who joins me live. Edward, what can you tell us about the situation? What is the update on the fire incident as of this morning?
So, Philip, as I speak to you now, this market has been closed down, and traders are not allowed to come in to engage in their usual activities, and those coming in to buy too are not allowed to do that. And as you can see in the background, the fire officers are still here conducting their investigations, and they're saying that after they're done with their investigations, that's where they'll be able to determine that, well, this is it, and that they'll also give recommendations as to what should be done. Per the plan, the management of this facility stated that, well, this facility was supposed to be closed up to about 12 p.m. But the regional minister and some other government officials have been around. And according to the regional minister, he said he is the chairman of the Regional Security Council. As that based on the briefings that he has had so far, he feels it will not be the most ideal thing to do by opening this market by 12 p.m. And so he is even recommending that it should be closed down for days or even weeks, if that is the time that they'll be able to finish all the assessment. And he particularly raised a number of questions. He is saying that, well, when the incident happened, and this facility, you know, it's a mega facility, and it has over 7,000 shops, and based on the investment that was done and how it was constructed, we understand that all the fire safety equipment and other things were done. And so when the fire that happened, there should have been a way that it could have withstood it, but that did not happen. And because that did not happen, he's saying that, well, there are a number of questions that are supposed to be answered. And he talks about the fact that why is it that the sprinklers did not work at the time that the fire happened? He was also talking about the fact that the smoke detectors were not able to detect enough or they were not effective as expected. He also made mention of the fact that the issue of insurance, as based on the information he is having, the insurance has also not, as per the information he is having, he's not having anything to show that indeed the insurance has been renewed. And even with his engagement with the fire service officials, they're saying that this facility is supposed to come up with some measures that will really protect it against fire. And so because they have not done all these things, this facility is not having any fire safety certificate, which is supposed to be issued by the officers from the Ghana National Fire Service. And the commander for the Ghana National Fire Service for the Ashanti region, ACFO1 Henry Giwa, he was here with the regional minister. In fact, he is still around, and he was also making the point that he has consistent, that's his outfit. They have consistently spoken to the management of this facility about what they have to do to ensure that they protect people here in case there's a fire outbreak. He said they have written to them several times, but they have not addressed some of those concerns. So he even took the regional minister and his entourage around to show them some of the defects that they saw, and they want this the management here to work on all those things, but those things have not been done, and that he is blaming it on the fact that they have not done those things. He says that even when they came in to control the situation, with the way this facility has been structured, there are some aspects that are not compatible with their machines that they use, and they have actually spoken to the management, but all these things have not been done. And so he feels that this actually led to the escalation of the situation. But what we understand, last night, when we spoke to the regional minister, when we spoke to the regional fire commander, he said that as at the time, they could count up to about 30 to 33 shops. The regional minister tells us today that based on the briefing he has had, about 50 shops have been affected, and all the items in them have been destroyed.
Okay, so, Edward, you made mention of the fact that the fire service officers are there. Can you confirm to us whether they've been able to bring the fire situation under control entirely? Because as of yesterday, when they were there, some other places also, the fire ignited at some other place. Can you confirm to us that this fire has been brought under control entirely?
In fact, they were able to bring the situation under control last night. And so that was the time that when even we're done with it, we spoke to the regional commander, and he indicated that, well, for the situation now, it has been brought under control, but they have to do more assessment today and even the subsequent days to know the extent of this thing, or even to quantify the extent of damage, and then they know whatever recommendations that they will come up with. And so per their initial investigations that they had, and based on the people they spoke to who were around initially, they said that the fire may have been as a result of some combustibles that were in some of these shops. And so, but they are saying that they still want to conduct further investigations to really ascertain all these ones. And their major issue has to do with the fact that even if there's a fire outbreak, there has to be a way that this facility will be able to contain it. Remember, not long ago, in fact, somewhere around 2021, there was a fire outbreak here, which we came to cover. And that case, based on how the system was, they were able to control it, so the fire did not escalate. They were expecting that it could have been a similar one, but that did not happen this time around, Philip.
The facility has been closed, according to what you said. And you said the regional minister has also come out to say that it's going to be closed for some time. Have you seen some of the traders coming to the facility as of this morning? And yes, if yes, what are some of the things they've been telling you, though it's been closed?
So generally, this facility has been closed, but the leadership of the traders, they have actually been given access to be around. And as I'm speaking to you now, the leaders of these traders are in a meeting with the management of this facility. They are engaging on the next way forward. The management is insisting that, well, they actually did certain things right. And the traders are also raising a number of concerns. They feel that the management who have put in place some measures, and they would have been protected in a way, and this couldn't have been the case. So for the traders, it's basically about they lamenting about the fact that they've lost millions and a number of items have been destroyed, and they feel that if proper measures are not being put in place, similar ones could happen, and the level of devastation could be massive.
Have you had the opportunity to speak to some of the affected traders?
Yeah, so some of the affected traders that we've spoken to, well, now they don't know what to really do. They don't know the next line of action. They don't know what they don't know as to whether indeed the insurance has been renewed, and so the insurance companies are going to pay that for them. But what they are saying is that their leadership has informed them that indeed the insurance has not been renewed, and so because it has not been renewed, it will look like they will be at a loss. And so if that happens, they are saying that they may consider some kind of legal action and call for some compensation to be paid for them. But they want the management to come.
I don't know, Poma, for many thanks for your time there. That is
come up with that. Indeed, I spoke to the manager of the facility, and he's saying that for now, they don't want to come out. They still want to have some engagement with some relevant authorities before they take any action or they make any pronouncement. So they have also not been speaking on whether they have indeed insured this facility, that's ensured that it is renewed. Okay. They have not come out openly.
I don't know, Paul Manfo, many thanks for your time there, and keep us updated or posted with whatever happens at the new KJT market. There you spoke to our Middle Belt Chief Bureau, Eduardo Paul Manfo, who is giving us up to speed concerning the fire incident that happened at the new KJT market last evening. Ni, what do you have to say about this?
Well, this is actually a serious issue at hand. And for you, you mentioned that millions of Ghana cedis have been lost. Eddie also mentioned same, and it appears that is the language we speak when it comes to some of these things. But over the years, I think generally we have not been able to learn lessons from, incidents of fire outbreaks at our market centers, because that is one of the numerous places we record such infernos. And the reason I think is quite simple, because we hear of investigations being carried out, but we never see the reports of these investigations for us to take lessons from,
in recent times, the fire incidences or the fire outbreak coming from the Ashanti region is one too many. Not long ago, we had the fire incident at the police quarters, the barracks, where it killed a police officer, the wife, and the baby. Another situation also with another officer too who had resigned. His house got burnt. Another incident again of a marketplace, and this coming up with the new KJTR market. Don't you think that the fire service or maybe individuals must be up and doing when it comes to these issues and try and find out what exactly the root cause of these fire incidences are?
The issue is quite multifaceted, because if you look at domestic fires and also industrial fires, you realize that though they are both fires, the management of these cases are usually different. And of course, it's the Ghana National Fire Service who are the center of, managing these fire outbreaks. And for me, it's quite sad to hear from this incident of, the new KJTR market, because two things struck me when Eddie gave his report. Well, the smoke detectors at the facility are ineffective, and then even traders and managers of the facilities are oblivious of whether
it's been insured or not.
The facility is insured or not. And that's quite serious, because they just go to market, go about their normal duties without taking care of their own safety.
And mind you, people are having millions of cedis, as we've been stating every now and then, in there. This is where they are running their business.
And their conduct and their behaviors also contribute to the incidents that we are seeing. So for me, you go to these market centers, people are cooking there, people are using all manner of, electrical appliances, some of them faulty. You can see overcrowded, electrical spaces and all that. A whole lot of things. So I think we need to find a proper way of, having
dealing with this issue. And we hope that the Ghana National Fire Service will be dealing with this issue drastically. And whatever report we have to get as a result of their investigations will be made public to the general, to the public domain. Let's put it that way. Let's move away from this story and go to Parliament, where the Member of Parliament for Ebuakwa South, Samuel Atachia, has described the military brutalities on residents of Ashaman as absurd.
Now we start from the House of Legislature, where the Member of Parliament for Ebuakwa North, Samuel Atachia, has described the military brutalities on residents of Ashaiman as absurd. Some military officers were reported to have beaten residents of Ashaiman last week Tuesday, following the killing of a soldier in the area. Now, reacting to a statement on the floor of Parliament by the member for Jomara on the killing of Shadrach Alo at the West Hills Mall, Samuel Atachia said security officers who unlawfully brutalize civilians must be arrested and punished to serve as deterrent to others.
The Member of Parliament for Jomoro, Dorcas Afotofe, whose constituency the 32-year-old young man Shadrach Alu, who was allegedly killed at the West Hills Mall in Accra, hailed from, made a statement on the floor of Parliament demanding an independent police commission inquiry into the matter.
There are a lot of people that are out there in this country that are suffering, that are going through the same thing, but most people don't have anybody to reach out to. So I'm sure there are a lot of victims out there who are also crying or seeking for justice. So for me, I think one of the things that is important to me is we as a house, using our power as lawmakers to put in place an independent police commission that will be looking into cases like this, especially where police officers or police personnel are involved or allegedly involved in some of these cases. They will not be the same people who will be investigating their own issues or they are looking into the problem, but we'll have an independent body or commission out there who will be doing that. And I think when that is done, it will really relieve a lot of, it will be good. it will reduce a lot of these issues that are going on, that are people are not having justice. They are not satisfied with the outcomes of their issues. And so I'm thinking when this independent commission is set and we as member of parliament take it seriously and looking into it and pushing it, I think it would help.
The statement received contributions from members of both sides of the House in agreement for an independent probe into the incident.
We are in a civilized and a democratic environment. That's what we should bear in mind. Some bestiality should not be encouraged. When people are being, whipped terribly, there's one which is so offensive to my sense of law. That is said that somebody has been killed. Let's beat the innocent so we find the killer. I have never seen any absurdity in my life. That if you can't find a killer, beat the innocent. And in so do you find a killer. We can celebrate this kind of, with the greater balance in this democratic dispensation we have. And we are craving the indulgence of those who are supposed to investigate these matters. And they should go about and make an example out of some of these situations. That when a soldier or a policeman is imprisoned, and they have to be imprisoned.
The issue of Ashama, where 184 people were subjected to brutality. And from the police investigation, the people who have now been arrested, none of them is linked to the 184 that were arrested and detained in the name of trying to fight crime. In fighting crime, you commit serious crimes. I think that it is time for us to begin to start looking at the police service and generally the security service as a whole, that when they commit such atrocities, they investigate themselves. And that's where the conflict of interest comes in. And in this country, we use our mouth to speak without working. For many years, everybody has been talking about the establishment of an independent police complaints commission. And nobody's doing anything about it. So if I have a problem, I just go to the police service, report one of their own to them. They sit down and give you a postmortem that you cannot verify. And they say, this is exactly what has happened. And the person is treated, excuse my language, like an animal. It is important that we begin to start taking a second look at this. And Mr. Speaker, I will want to indulge you that today, at the end of this particular, the contribution on this, refer this thing to the appropriate committee to investigate this. Because, look, I believe that there are a number of people who have died and who have not heard. It's just because maybe Shadrach has a very active member of parliament who has decided to bring this to the fore.
The second Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Andrew Amoakwesiama, referred the matter to the Defence and Interior Committee of Parliament for consideration and report in the next 2 weeks.
The statement is referred to the Defence and Interior Committee to look into it. I understand they are looking into the Ashama one, they can add it up. But, honourable members, so many referral has been made to committee chair, and we don't get the reports. It's becoming another issue. So, I hope the committee chair is not here, the ranking is also not here. Deputy ranking is here. Very well. So please, we want action within 2 weeks.
The former workers of Ghana Cocoa Board, who were laid off in the year 1993 and 1994, petitioned the Speaker of Parliament over what they describe as the underpayment of their benefits due them. They were demanding of the Speaker to probe the matter.
These old men that you see this afternoon are a group of workers that were laid off or entrenched in Cocoa Board in the year 1993-1994. We were not given enough package. So we petitioned the court, and court granted us judgment in 2019. When Cocoa Board in the year 2020 started paying, the amount of money that they paid was still not enough. We have done everything within our power to let them pay us. Cocoa Board is not paying attention. We have nothing to do. All we have to do is petition the government to intervene In actual fact, we are asking for a probe because we know government has given Cocoa Board officials the money to pay us, but they have slashed the figures down. The amount of money that we pay were not acceptable. So we want a probe.
How much was due you and how much was given to you by Cocoa Board?
Someone was given 498 for 4 years service, including 25 years interest.
First of all, thank you for using due process to get your issue resolved. We have received it and we will forward it to the Speaker. And I'm sure that when he returns, he would take the necessary action that will lead to the resolution, full resolution of your issues. Thank you so much.
Reporting from Parliament, my name is Ni Ayikwe Okain for Citi News.
So let's focus on the members of Parliament, their comment on the Ashaman brutalities. Well, the Ibuakwa South MP says that the military brutality there is absurd. Also, the Interior and Defence Committee of Parliament is visiting the area today. Occupy Ghana has also spoken about the issue. We've had a number of stakeholders coming on board to condemn the act of the military, and in general, some brutality is meted out to the civilians by men in uniform.
But the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces is yet to comment on the issue.
He's still speaking about it.
That's why a lot of people actually think that his defaming silence is an endorsement of the actions of the military. But Philip, we've always said that the conduct of the military, or even our men in uniform in general, the security officers, when they are accused of, manhandling civilians and armed civilians, actually, it really questions their professionalism and also questions, or doubts the trust and confidence, ordinary citizens will have in our security agencies. We've condemned in no uncertain terms what the military went to do in Ashaiman, and also some of the incidents they've done in the past, looking at somewhere like Ejura, for example, and what have you. And so for me, if the members of Parliament are actually pushing for, the punishment of some of these officers, I think it's actually a step in the right direction. One that will actually send strong signals that Ghanaians are not really enthused about how, they are subjected to, a lot of human rights abuses just because of, how the security agencies are handling their issues, or, investigating a particular matter. Because, look, if you're investigating a particular matter and it has to do with, or it takes, someone else who is in fact innocent to suffer such violence, really, it questions the practicality of the investigations you are doing. Because, look, if you take the Ashaman instance, for example, when the military invaded the place, they said they went there based on one, command from the military, orders from the military high command, and also intelligence base. They rounded up over 100, residents there, which they suspected had a hand in whatever happened. They were subsequently released. We do not even know the culpability of all these 100 people. And really, just for the police to come
investigation
in to
is still ongoing. That is what the
people,
police says, and also the Defence and the Interior Committee of Parliament. Whatever their findings will be as they visit the area today, we will keep you updated here on Citi TV. You are still watching CNR Extra here on Citi TV. Still to come. Accra High Court dismisses suit by Ace investigative journalist Anas Arimeya Anas against Kennedy Japan, the Member of Parliament for Asin Central in the Central Region. Stay with us. We'll be back with more stories.
Sure say your hospital go happy if you hear the filler way I get for your dog.
I still have your underwear in my office drawer.
I could never imagine you would end up being my stepmother.
Anybody with the capacity to give you great joy can also bring you insufferable pain.
Many thanks for staying with us here on CNR Extra. Let's bring you some more stories. And the Deputy Majority Leader, Alexander Pejomakin, is proposing constitutional reforms to place a limit on the number of seats in Parliament.
Now, still in Parliament, Deputy Majority Leader Alexander Pejomakin is proposing constitutional reforms to place a minimum on the number of seats in Parliament. The Afutu MP, while speaking at the Gimpa Law Conference, said the number of seats in Parliament should be reduced from 275 to 200 to ease pressure on the public purse. There is more in the following report by Citi News' Daniel Sakite and read by Nashika Caesar.
Ghana's first parliament under the Fourth Republic started with 200 seats. Over the years, the number was increased to 230 seats in 2005 and then later to 275 seats in 2013. These increases in the number of seats have on both occasions drawn criticisms from stakeholders as a result of its drain on the public purse, while comparisons have also been made to other Western countries with relatively low number of seats for MPs. Speaking at the 2023 Gimpa Law Conference on the role of Parliament in a democracy, the Deputy Majority Leader Alexander Pejomakin said constitutional reforms were needed in certain parts of the 1992 Constitution 30 years on since it came into force. He mentioned, for instance, that the number of parliamentary seats should be reduced from the current 275 to 200 seats, while adding that the time has also come for the country to have an upper chamber of parliament, which will be known as the House of Elders. Pejomakin said the Council of State could be converted through a legislation to serve this purpose.
I'm well aware of many earlier submissions that a constitutional cap is put on the number of seats in our parliament. It is my respectful view that to reduce the financial stress associated with running government, we must reduce the number of seats in our parliament from 275 to 200 and then make room for 31 members of Council of State turn into House of Elders. In my view, the election of persons to serve in the House of Elders shall be non-partisan. There will be no need to amend the relevant constitutional provision barring chiefs from engaging in active partisan politics.
The Afutu Member of Parliament also lamented challenges regarding the role of MPs, stating that they have become development agents contrary to their lawmaking and representation of electorate functions. This, he says, has made some MPs retire as paupers, while also unable to foot their medical bills.
Although lawmakers are not strictly speaking development agents, many MPs, and I am of no exception, have had to dig so deep into their private pockets to provide public infrastructure to benefit underserved communities in their constituencies. In the process, many MPs have retired as paupers and have had to endure the pain.
That is a good call by Alexander Pejomakin, who is the Deputy Majority Leader in Parliament. This is going to ease the pressure on the public purse. Well, the question again is, why wasn't this communicated long ago and now?
You actually say it's a good call. It can actually be made better. I think even 200 is too much.
Oh, so it should be reduced further?
Because look, what does Article 93(1) of our Constitution says? It says that there shall be a House of Parliament that does not consist of less than 104 elected members. And so if that is the case, sorry, not 104 but 140 members. So if that's the case, we can go back to it. I know that the call has been made that we have to reduce the number of members of Parliament in the House of Legislature. But two quick questions come to mind. One, is it that we are doing it to save the public purse, or that we are doing it for our own political expediency? Because we've realized that most of the times when this issue of gerrymandering comes in, political parties are doing it for their own advantage or to their own advantage. And so for me, if this is going to be done or is going to be, conceded, it should also have a corresponding effect on the number we have at the executive level, i.e. our ministers and other government appointees. Are we also going to see a reduction there? If that is the case, we are all...
Well, he also made mention of the having members of parliament appointed as ministers and all that could also be checked. But then again, this is what Afenyo Markin
But
is
do you know
asking.
the most interesting thing?
Which one is the
as
most
far as this issue? I remember former minority leader Haruna Idrisu pushing for an increase in the number to 300. And then for him, his explanation was that the extra 25 should be given to women. So in as much as we are looking at, these considerations, I think we must also bear in mind the quality of people we take to parliament. And in this same narration that Afenyo Markin is giving, he also made a point that members of parliament should be people who have post-secondary, form of education. And so we must not look at the issue as just, because we know the issue of absenteeism and non-performing MPs in the House. People go there, they do not contribute to debate. We wonder how they even represent their people, and they call themselves honorable or, So I mean,
so the conversation
it's not
must
just
be
about reducing the numbers. We must factor in all.
There has to be
these
more
things.
conversation on this concerning the reduction of the number of MPs in Parliament. Away from that, let's bring you the story where the Accra High Court has dismissed suit by Ace investigative journalist Anas Arimeya Anas against Kennedy Japan, the Member of Parliament for Asin Central.
An Accra High Court has dismissed a suit by 8 investigative journalists Anas Arimeya Anas against Kennedy Japan, the Member of Parliament for Ascent Central in the Central Region. Anas brought a 25 million cedi defamatory suit against the vociferous legislator, but the court, in a ruling on Wednesday, March 15, said the suit lacks merit. Anas, in 2018, dragged the lawmaker to court for allegedly defaming him. In his application, Anas prayed the court to award aggravated damages of 25 million Ghana cedis to compensate him for the alleged defamatory material published against him by the MP. In a lengthy ruling, Justice Eric Barr held that the plaintiff, Anas Arimeya Anas, failed to prove that Kennedy Japan defamed the investigative journalist by airing the documentary Who Watches the Watchman. The court further held that Japan provided sufficient evidence to prove that the plaintiff used the findings of his work to solicit money from persons implicated in the evidence gathered by him. The following report has more.
The judge, before coming into conclusion, analyzed the issues on 5 levels. The first was whether or not the words used by the plaintiff in the matter were defamatory in nature. On this tangent, the judge noted that the words spoken by Kennedy Japan were defamatory in nature. The case against Kennedy Japan was that he had accused Anas Arimeya Anas of a number of things, including being a blackmailer, a thief, a fraudster, an extortionist, and corrupt. The judge then proceeded to consider whether the words actually defamed Anas Arimeya Anas. Justice Eric Barr concluded in the negative, indicating that the words did not defame the investigative journalist. The judge, enriching this conclusion, analyzed video evidence available to him. The video in question was captured in Kennedy Japan's Who Watches the Watchman documentary. This documentary was screened in what looked as a reaction to Anas Arimeya Anas number 12 documentary, which captured some football actors, including former GFA chairman Kwesi Nyantakyi, taking bribes. In the Who Watches the Watchman documentary, Anas is alleged to have investigated a group for a $1.9 million gold scam. He is alleged to have received bribe from them to stop airing the documentary. One of the persons caught by Anas is seen in the video claiming he paid some amount of money to Anas to prevent the screening of the documentary. In the same video, Anas is alleged to have also confessed having bribed the Director General of the Criminal Investigation Department of the Ghana Police Service. Justice Eric Barr noted that Anas's lawyer during trial at some point accepted that Anas was the one being referred to in the documentary, and in other instances denied that it was Anas. He, however, concluded that since Kennedy Japan did not deny that he was referring to Anas Arimeya Anas, then the comments can be attributed to the investigative journalist. To this end, the judge stated that the confessions in the video leaves the burden on Kennedy Japan. Based on this, the judge concluded that Anas is a blackmailer, an extortionist, corrupt, and a criminal. Justice Eric Ban described Anas's work as investigative terrorism and not investigative journalism. According to the judge, even though the words spoken of the plaintiff are factual and capable of defamation, Anas Aramio Anas could not prove same. Hence, the plaintiff case is meritless and dismissed. The judge also considered video evidence where Anas, a sheikh, and an Arabian, and one Amache conversed about efforts to implicate the Ivorian Prime Minister and the President of Ghana. The judge expressed disdain about the plot contained in this video. The judge queried why Anas Aramio Anas would seek to entrap the highest men of these countries with no cause. In his own words, Justice Eric Ban stated that how Anas and his team select their subject matters is shrouded in secrecy. Even though the judge did not rule out the essence of investigating leaders of nations, he noted that preempting unjustified attacks on their credibility, unprovoked by any credible suspicion of a specific act of corruption engaged in or about to be engaged in by them, such as drawing them into a trap so as to be caught in a contrived corruption, as alleged by Kennedy Japan, was unwarranted. The judge further questioned who the financiers of Anas were, and if they were outsiders, would they be comfortable if their leaders are put in a similar situation? To the judge, this attempt by Anas and his group has nothing to do with journalism, but rather a scheme for grabbing power by the back door and satisfying Anas's insatiable chase for power, publicity, fame, awards, and rewards. The judge, having taken this position on the evidence available, concluded that Kennedy Japan was therefore justified to have made the comments about Anas. In all, the judge concluded that Anas could not prove the defamation case against Kennedy Japan. The judge awarded a cost of 50,000 Ghana cedis against Anas to be paid to the MP. Kennedy Japan has been speaking to the press after the judgment.
The victory is for the victims of Anas, the people, the good people of this country that Anas has destroyed. All those people who were sacked from their jobs, the people who have died through Anas' illegal investigation should be compensated. Compensation is not enough. He has to apologize to his victims. And today, I say to Ghanaians that we have to be bold to speak the truth in this country. They have gone through Anas' humiliation in this country. Nobody, no citizen of this country should go through like that. I tell you today, the 50,000, I don't need it. I give it to him, but he should live with his conscience. And with this judgment, God is also going to give his judgment.
Tiger IPI, under whose supervision Anas carries out his activities, has reacted to the judgment. According to a statement released by the company, the decision of the court is an unfortunate travesty of justice and very inimical to the administration of justice and fairness. If for nothing at all, Mr. Japan made an allegation of murder against Mr. Anas. There's absolutely nothing contained in the said documentary which alludes to the commission of murder or an allegation of the commission of murder by Mr. Anas. Thus, the documentary cannot provide any justification for an allegation of murder in the wildest imagination. Yet the judge conveniently ignored this obvious fact and the fact that Mr. Anas is not a suspect for murder and is not under investigation for murder.
Justice Eric Ban has described Anas's work as investigative terrorism and not investigative journalism. Well, Anas, on the other hand, issued a statement where he described as travesty of justice the dismissal of his defamation case against Kennedy Japan, the Member of Parliament for Assin Central. What do you make of this?
And it's the thinking of the judgment for me, looking at the kind of, descriptions that the judge used in the judgment. And also what this actually means for Anas as far as his investigative, business is concerned. And if you look at this issue and how people have actually questioned the modus operandi that Anas used in ensuring that he gets whatever he wants to get and, put them together in the form of, a documentary and then airs it, and then some people have been made to, suffer one dismissal or the other. And so for me, I'm also interested in, the call by the Assin Central Member of Parliament that President Akufo-Addo showed actually apologized to former Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Charles Edubwine. And you know that when he was dismissed, the matter actually was taken to the office of the Special Prosecutor for further probe. So let's see what this judgment will also mean for that. And also, if Anas thinks that this judgment is a travesty of justice and also inimical to the adjudication of justice in the country, I think the option is available to him. He can appeal.
Well, Entaga IPI and the CEO, or that is Anas Arimaya Anas, he in that statement also says they remain resolute in the fight against corruption in the Ghanaian society. You are still watching CNR Extra here on Citi TV, still to come. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia reiterates government's effort at addressing dwindling foreign currency reserve with gold for oil policy. Stay with us, we'll be back with that story.
Get ready to experience a night like never before with Ahima Messi, Kofi Osipepra, PSA Esther, Ankalato, Ella Duncan Williams, and your host MOG. Also ministering Keepers Music and Liberty Voices Choir as MOG Music presents New Wine Concert. Theme: The Coming Glory, on Sunday the 19th of March 2023 at the Oil Dome Royal House Chapel Ahimfie. Time 5 p.m. Rate 200 Ghana Cedis VIP. Gallery Standard 40 Ghana Cedis. Gallery Double 70 Ghana Cedis. Regular Standard 80 Ghana Cedis. Regular Double 150 Ghana Cedis. Visit www.tickets.newwineconcert.com or dial *389*777# to purchase your tickets. Sponsors: Oduma, Bell Beverages, Bell Aqua, Total Family Health Organization, First Choice Hair and Beauty Salon, Tank Palace, DDP, eTransact, Oasis Studios. Media partners. For more information, call 0500 053 881.
Give me a new song to say.
Welcome back. This is still CNR Extra on Citi TV. Let's bring you some more story. And the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, says that government will work assiduously to address the dwindling foreign currency reserve with the gold for oil policy.
Now, the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has reiterated government's efforts at addressing the dwindling foreign currency reserves with a gold for oil policy. Now, according to him, the policy is the most important macroeconomic policy intervention to deal with exchange rate issues. Dr. Bawumia disclosed this at the commissioning of the new head office of the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company Limited, BOST, in Accra.
The gold for oil policy, which was announced last year by the government, is to allow it to pay for imported oil products with gold. This will be in two channels: via barter trade or via forex obtained from selling gold to a broker. The move, announced by the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, is an intervention to help stabilize prices of fuel products as well as reduce the pressure on Ghana's foreign exchange. According to him, the gold for oil policy, which is now in its third month, is already yielding a positive impact and is expected to do more. So far, it has seen about 100,000 metric tons of fuel brought into the country. Speaking at the commissioning of the new head office for the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company Limited, BOST, in Accra, Dr. Bawumia reiterated that the policy is on course to achieve its overall objective, arguing that the policy is the most important macroeconomic policy intervention introduced to deal with exchange rate issues.
The gold for oil policy is the first policy of its kind in Ghana since independence to address this type of balance of payments crisis that we face. In my humble opinion, this is the most important macroeconomic policy intervention to deal with the exchange rate depreciation, fuel price, food price, and inflation nexus that we have had. We have not only seen, as a result of the policy, we have not only seen a decline in prices from the 23 cedis per litre to around 12 cedis per litre, we have also seen stability in the exchange rate as we predicted. And I must say, all thanks should go to the Ministry of Energy, to BOST, to MPA, to the Bank of Ghana, Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, and the PMMC, who rose up to the occasion when we faced this crisis of a rapidly depreciating currency along with rapidly increasing fuel, transportation, and food prices.
He also announced that consumers of petroleum products should expect a further decrease in the prices of fuel at the pumps from tomorrow as a result of the implementation of government's policy. Already, the national average price for petrol and diesel currently stands at 13 cedis 53 pesos and 13 cedis 69 pesos respectively.
I've been told that next week we are likely to see fuel prices fall again as a result of this policy. Next week is not actually, Professor has just said, it's not that far. It's tomorrow. Tomorrow we will see the decline in prices that we expect. I mean, this is remarkable. 2.5 months ago, you were at 23 cedis per litre. Today, you are at 12 cedis and falling. That is a good point.
As government is of the view that the gold for oil policy has led to the reduction of fuel prices at the various pumps, the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, insists that a recent drop in fuel prices is due to a global drop in crude oil prices. And according to the policy or the center, they are saying that this cannot be attributed to government's gold for oil policy. But I think there is some reduction on the fuel prices at the various pumps as of now. The president's made mention is going to happen this morning, and it's happening.
But industry players says that they say that it's actually not as a result of the gold for oil policy, but a drop in the prices of fuel on the international market. And there's this school of thought that also believes that the quantity we are receiving from the gold for oil is quite infinitesimal, and so it cannot, as we speak now, contribute to a reduction in the prices. So two things here. So the prices on the international markets have dropped, and also the quantity is quite low that it cannot be linked to the prices that we are seeing, the drop in the price that we are seeing. And so that is what industry players are actually saying.
But the Association for the Oil Marketing,
the Association for Oil Marketing Company, for example, says that only 22% of the oil that we see at the pumps actually come from the gold for oil policy. And so for the 78% that contributes to the larger market, and so they believe that it's going to take some time. It's a gradual process. It's not going to happen now, but the government, if indeed this is what it's saying, then let's see it really does.
Well, that is what is coming from government, and all we hope is there will be further reduction of fuel prices. My name is Philip Nilate. I did this with Nilate. This is CNR Extra Show, and this is how we end today's show. Many thanks for your time, and keep watching Citi TV.